In today's video, we're exploring a unique oil painting technique called tiling that's sought in many classical art academies and ateliers. See, there are two ways to apply the paint to get the shading done on your painting. You can start with the whole to paint the parts, or you can start with the parts to paint the whole. And with our tiling method, we're dealing with the second option. We work on small individual parts of the painting with value, blending, and modeling, so it looks like a puzzle that's starting to appear. By the way, I'm using a painting demo that we've done live during one of our painting sessions from the Atelier, so if you want to join and follow along, you can download the resources. All the links are in the description box. And this cast is all yellow because for this specific episode we were working on yellow mixing specifically, but it's the same idea with any color. It's just we're talking about paint application here, so forget about the yellow. Just consider how the paint is applied on the canvas. So here's the difference with the two approaches. In the first one, you try to cover the whole canvas and proceed with several steps. Step 1, blocking in. Step 2, massing in some simplified flat values. Step 3, blending the edges. Step 4, finish with the modeling and all. You get it. It's a multi-layered approach that deals with the whole before the parts to prioritize unity. The other approach, the one we're talking about today, works the other way around. It's focused on the parts, called tiles here. A tile is a single brushstroke that's applied next to other tiles and tries to nail the right value and hue with no intermediate steps in between, but on a small scale. The idea is to create small color swatches, almost like in a mosaic, and define the exact color every time for each stroke. There is no real blending outside of the organic manner in which two connected tiles naturally blend when they are juxtaposed. Tiling produces a striking effect of volume from the get-go because each tile is already pushed to the highest degree of refinement and modeling. There is no waiting for the next stage to get a decent sense of form. It's done right away and there is no next stage. What you paint is done, almost done. Well, you can make some final corrections in the end, but you get the point. Each tile is there to stay, and that's final. This method allows you to build your painting stroke by stroke, much like creating a mosaic or a puzzle. The result is a more controlled, precise, and form-focused artwork. So let's explore why this tiling technique can help you reach the next level. The tiling approach involves applying individual color swatches like tiles onto your canvas. These swatches are laid down in small, deliberate patches, each representing a specific color and value, almost working pixel by pixel, except that here the tiles are supposed to blend and sort of merge into each other, so every time they have to connect. Unlike a more traditional blending method where you gradually smooth colors, so for example start with some flat shapes and then do the blending between the shapes afterwards, tiling is all about placing the color with intention on a very small scale, allowing each tile to retain its distinct characteristics while contributing to the overall form that you're trying to paint. One of the main benefits of tiling is the precision that it offers. Each stroke represents a specific color and value, allowing you to focus on volume and modeling right from the start. So you're not just approximating colors, you're defining it immediately with your first stroke on each individual tile. This leads to more control over how the light, the shadows, and the midtones all interact and connect to create this sense of form. It's like looking at the painting at a very high resolution level and really focusing on a tiny space but being very precise for each stroke. You also have to know that this approach encourages a very tight painting style. So if you're all about the Sargent-like impressionism, that's probably not what you want. But I still think that it can be a useful tool to add to your repertoire. And I personally don't use it, but occasionally I'll know that there is a tricky area like a face or something that needs a strong emphasis on the volume. And I'll use this method because I know that it will give me a tighter brush control and a better sense of the form, and also it will allow me to, be more precise. The traditional way of painting with multiple layers, multiple steps, it focuses more on the shapes and it connects the shapes with the transitions afterwards. But tiling completely skips the shape stage and goes immediately for form. So with tiling, you never think in 2 dimensions. You start and finish with 3D. Here's what tiling requires. It requires a precise outline, firm paint with good plasticity, not too much medium, opaque pigment with good covering power, and wide, soft brushes with good retention. Let's be honest, for tiling, you need a lot of preparation work. Just know that tiling is never done alone out of nowhere. It requires some work prior to the painting, because we skip the shape phase, so the 2-dimensional phase that we would normally have in a more traditional approach. But here it has to be compensated with a preparatory drawing. Then the drawing is transferred on the canvas to produce a relatively precise outline to start with. With tiling, we can't deal with shapes and proportion errors, so they have to be dealt with during the preparatory drawing. We also need paint that's not too fluid, so go easy on the medium. Your paint needs to have a nice plasticity. It needs to have a good flow, but be firm on your brush so that natural blending can occur. You also need opaque pigments only, as transparent pigments, they simply don't have enough body to handle the type of brushstroke that the tiling requires. And finally, as blending is done while the paint is applied, you need soft brushes with good retention. So the quality of your brushes is actually a key. Tiling is pretty much done like a puzzle. Every time you want to apply a new tile, it has to be connected to the previous ones. And very often, like in a puzzle, you can start with the edges. Typically, you want to run across the volume of the form, like start with the darkest dark on the sides and connect it to the lightest lights gradually, or the other way around. Start with the light, go towards the dark. We're not trying to paint long stripes of the same value, but small tiles that connect the shadows to the highlights. You want to build a bridge tile by tile very patiently across the form. To get the most out of the tiling method, you're going to use different brush sizes, a smaller brush size for fine detail and a larger one for the broader areas. It will just give you more flexibility. Think of each tile as an opportunity to make a conscious decision about what color and value belongs in that exact spot, almost working pixel by pixel. And this can be especially beneficial when you're working on a portrait or a still life where subtle shifts in color can make a big difference, or when a very tight control is needed in the modeling of the form. Another huge advantage of tiling is that it allows for organic blending as you progress. So instead of constantly manipulating your brush to blend the colors on the canvas, the proximity of the tiles create a natural visual blend from a distance. And it typically prevents the risk of overworking your painting and keeps your colors fresh. And by the way, try to touch the canvas a maximum of 3 times before you go back to your palette to pick up some fresh paint. Overblending can sometimes muddy your colors, but with tiling, you can maintain the integrity of the strokes as long as you remember to never touch a tile more than 3 times. Not all the tiles need to exactly have the same design. Some can have a shape that's slightly different. Try to adjust the shape of your tiles depending on what area you're trying to go for, but always remember that the tiles have to connect. Tiling is always a really striking technique, like visually speaking. Even from the very start, the pieces that have been tiled look finished and modeled, as if the subject was appearing out of nowhere. It's great because it allows you to define the form and the depth of your subject early on. So if you have a subject that's focused mainly on creating a very flesh-like realistic impression of the form, tiling is what you want to go for. Because with each brushstroke, you're modeling the volume and the texture of the subject immediately. There is no waiting for the second step. It's done. It's already happening while you're painting. There's no need to go back, layer on with multiple stages to refine the form. Each tile is a finished part of the whole. But there is one difficulty of tiling, because it works sort of like a mosaic. It's really hard to preserve the sense of unity and keep things together. So you really want to step back and view your work from a distance very often and keep the unity of the whole in mind. Sure, we didn't start with the whole, but it's still our ultimate goal. And in reality, the traditional method, whole before the parts, or the tiling method, which puts the parts before the whole, are both supposed to achieve the same results in the end. This is why I said that tiling is a process. It's a way to get there. It's a way to reach a certain point, but the final goal should be the same. A realistic painting with accurate proportions, good values, and a great sense of form. Up close, each tile may seem disjointed, but when you look at the whole picture, you'll see how everything comes together beautifully. So remember to step back very often. If you find this video helpful, don't forget to give this video a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel for more painting tips and tutorials. And as always, my friends,